Hey guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you've come over from Instagram, go ahead and subscribe because there'll be more videos like this. This is the first one that I've done where I show you an image on Instagram, show you my settings, maybe give you a tip about how I shot it or why I shot it. And then now on YouTube, I will show you how I edited it. Edited it. Anyway, so hit subscribe. There'll be more of these to come. And then also in the notes, you can leave me a note whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, whether I should quit doing this, whatever. But so this image, I chose this image because this is a lot of what we're shooting right now with moving into the fall leaves, with the grasses, and with things like that. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that this image is underexposed. It's a little too dark, and I generally will underexpose my images just a little bit. The reason for that is because with digital photography, it is much easier to lift the shadows, brighten or lighten the shadows and get detail than it is to darken the highlights and get good detail. And so that's a good rule of thumb. Whenever you're shooting a digital camera, you are going to want to underexpose. It's the exact opposite if you're shooting film, but that is a different lesson for a different day. So this image is dark. Something else I notice is there is a little bit of lens vignetting around the edge. You can see it's just a little bit darker around the corners here, and so I'll fix that as well. This image isn't that bad, so it's not going to take me forever to edit, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it to get it just how I want. And so what I'm going to want to do is just kind of center them just a little bit in the frame from left to right, and then drop them down just a bit. So probably about right there is what I'm wanting for my crop. Okay, so next, we're going to go to the white balance, and I'm going to choose auto just to get my colors close. Now, I don't really do anything else with colors right away because you want to get your brightness set correctly or your exposure, and then you'll mess around with colors because exposure shifts colors. And if I try to get my colors right now while it's still dark, when I brighten it, those colors will shift as well. So let's get that set correctly about right there. That looks good. Maybe a little bright for him, but for these guys, I like that. So next I'm going to get my colors how I want them. So if I just warm it up just a little bit, that right now looks like enough. I reserve the right to always come back and adjust my colors. Okay, so let's move to my contrast. So this obviously is a pretty flat image, so I want to add some contrast. Now, one trick to know, and I won't necessarily need to do it for this image, but contrast and blacks work together. They both deal with the darker tones of your image. And so if I raise contrast, I can also raise my black point. And what that's going to do is that is going to lift the darks. So this is one way to kind of get a light, airy look to your images, a freshness, if you will. Obviously, that's not awesome looking in this image, but on an image that is backlit or heavily backlit, where there's some brightness in the background and your subject is very dark, this is a tip. And in a live edit down the road, I'll show you how that works. But obviously, I don't want to do that right now. So I'm just going to increase my contrast just a bit there. Now I've got some peaking in the highlights. So what that means is I've got kind of a non-even brightness. I've got a brighter amount on her high cheekbones and then a darker amount on her middle cheekbones. And that contrast between those two is a little heavy for my taste. And so what I need to do is with my highlights and my whites, I need to just kind of flatten out that brightness. And if you can see that happening right through there. Okay, my black point, if you look up here, you can see the bottom of my mountain here. The left side of my mountain is almost to the left edge. And so if you notice when I move the blacks, it moves that left edge of the mountain. And so I'm going to leave it at 0 because it's almost there already, which means I'm very close to having a pure black point of this image. Okay, we talked about that lens correction, that vignetting right there. So if I come in here to the lens correction panel and I click Enable Profile Corrections, you'll see that vignetting being removed, and it brightens up this area down here. Okay, so that is basically what I would do to this image, just kind of get it get it right, get these colors looking good. Now, there is something else that I can do. Let me create a virtual copy here of this image, okay? So here is the one I just worked on. Here's the virtual copy. They're identical right now, but I'm going to hit reset. I do like my crop, so I'm going to sync my crop over, only my crop. So now they match exactly except for crop. Now that first edit, I wanted to show you kind of how I would do it without presets. Now I'm going to show you how I probably actually would do it with my presets. So I have some golden light presets, and what those presets are meant to do is to add kind of a golden warmth or a golden light to your images. And I'm going to just show you how quick it is with these presets. So they're set up in a workflow format. So I click on Start. That gets my image close. Then this is the lens correction we talked about. I can turn it off 100%. I can leave it on 50%, or I can turn it off completely. So I'm going to turn it off completely right there. The next thing I want to do is I want to add some golden light. And so what I can do is kind of start scrolling through these, and they will add different color overlays that give us a certain amount of that golden glow. Okay? So I think I like number 3 as I scrolled through those. The next thing we do, we also have some sepia toned ones if you wanted to make it a black and white, but with that warm kind of color cast sepia to it. The next thing we have contrast. So I can come down here and I can increase my contrast or decrease it. I can soften my highlights, mid-tone my highlights, or sharpen my highlights. I'm going to go to the mid-tone just to, again, do what I talked about in the cheeks. And then the shadows, I can darken the shadows, mid the shadows, or lift the shadows. And I'm going to put those at dark. Okay, so you can see what I've done here. That probably, I clicked on 4 buttons. That took me just a few minutes to do. And if we compare them back and forth, you can now see a drastic difference. So this was the edit of me just kind of moving through these sliders, choosing what I liked just on what I looked. And then this is what I get when I use my presets. So the presets I took time to kind of create and craft to fit the look and feel and to get to that look and feel very quickly. So either way you look at it, they're both good, but this one doesn't kind of have the punch that this one has, and it also doesn't have that golden feel to it. So there you go. If you want to check out my golden light presets, there is a link in the notes of this video. You can check them out. Otherwise, subscribe, leave me a comment whether you liked this or not so I can know whether this is something that you want me to continue doing to show you how I edit. Anyway, thanks for watching.